Okay, I wanted to talk about something I saw at UK Games Expo. Uh, I would say my game of the show actually, and it was not one of the big games. Um, as I was walking around the show floor, looking at different game systems, this caught my eye. I saw the art style and I was thinking Zelda Breath of the Wild. It intrigued me. I wanted to know what it was about, and it's a small company. Um, and they kickstarted a while back um, for Heroes of the Shire. It's a board game, and Damien, which is the designer of the game, was there to kind of run through demos of the game in arena mode and everything else. So a little bit about the game. It's got two different modes. It's got arena mode, which is kind of like a 1v1, 2v2, all v all kind of like dice throw. It's the best way to think of it is like dice throwing without dice. But it has got some unique mechanics in it as well. And then they've also got like scenario-based version, game mode as well. So Damien Senior. He comes from a video game background, and it kind of shows in this as we're going through it. And as I scroll through this, you'll see the art I'm talking about. The art style is just, it really is phenomenal. And the Edwin Hio, which is the concept artist, is the kind of key one. So let's get past the stretch goals. So effectively, the way he did it, it was a little bit like Pokemon in the sense of, like it says here, in the sense of you've got fire and ice and earth and water. So this comes with different characters, 10 in each. So I've gone, I backed this, well, late pledged it straight away afterward. And you got 20 heroes in total. Okay, all unique as you play through them. Now these hex tiles are used for like the scenario mode, so you can play in all four of the different element scenarios or worlds, as it were. Playing with your player dashboards, just slightly different. You kind of level up and everything. And you can play a number of these different ones in a row, as it were. You've got trash mobs, which are kind of like your enemies, and then you've got bosses. And I'll show you those bosses in a bit. But effectively, I'm just showing you, I just want to go straight to the art, really. So these are the game modes. You've got the arena, which is what I just talked about, which is 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, free-for-all, whatever it might be. And that's kind of just going back and forth, using your spells, I think it's called, or abilities, to try and take down your opponents. Then there's scenario mode, and you can do that 1v many. So someone can play the player of the villain. You've got true co-op, and then you've also got solo mode as well. Okay, so there's a true solo mode as well. Let's get rid of that a minute. So here we go. So the heroes that we've got are these 20 heroes, and you can see with the art style, and I'll show you in a bit more detail in a minute when I go to Tabletop Simulator to show you the kind of game and how it plays. But some really gorgeous art, as you can see. These are the player boards. You've got allies, you've got totems, so they've all got unique abilities, and they've all got unique little gameplay mechanics as well. When I was at the stand, they had the alchemist, and you do a kind of matching pairs mini game to see what things you harvest, because you go harvesting for ingredients, and then you kind of play through that. In the scenario mode, you are exploring terrain, making choices, a little bit like Gloomhaven's. Well, it's not really. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure type thing, but it's kind of got that Gloomhaven-ish feel in terms of city cards and so forth. You got trash mobs, which are kind of like just your standard enemies that you encounter. You upgrade your heroes, and then they've got these epic boss battles, and you get this legendary loot. You also get you can, just like in Zelda, you can put armor sets together, and you get extra bonuses if you do that. So you kind of got those scenario tiles. You get these different cards which do different things as you go through, and then you have your boss battles. So I just want to just scroll down. I think they've got there's a solo mode, true solo mode, which is awesome. And then past the previews, I believe I could be wrong. Here we go. So here's the bosses. So you've got things like for the different types of land. So you've got Dragon Mother, Tectonic Giant, Fire Elemental, Armored Crab, White Widow, Forest Troll, 6 other ones as well. And then you got all these trash mobs. But just look at the art; it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's a really nice game as well. So I got to run through how to play the game, and then on Tabletop Simulator, they've created an update. Okay, so you've got all of the stuff you would want on Tabletop Simulator to try out. And the reason why Damien's done this and Senior Games have done this is because they're running kind of like online tournaments, like they said they would do in the Kickstarter, before the game hopefully ship through later this year. And effectively, what you've got here, there's a few unique mechanics. So number one, the dice aren't actually to roll to attack. There is no luck. So effectively, you just choose one of your abilities, one of your spells, and he has a cooldown system, this CD. Okay, and this CD is effectively what you use the dice for. So if you cast Flame Blast, once you're in Fire Elemental, then you would knock this into a 4, and then at the start of your turn, you decrease all of your dice that are on your board by 1. So you start to kind of like move through your attacks. You have to kind of decide what you're going to do for each one. You've obviously got opponents that you're going against. And then there's loads of buffs and everything, okay? So just a little bit, again, you'll see very much similarities between Dice Throne, where you've got Health Pool. You don't have CPs. You don't have like action points or anything like that. You do go up levels. When you play in Arena mode, you go to level 4 immediately and then fill in your kind of mastery, your spell mastery, and you can go down different routes. So for the shaman, for example, you've got these 3 different routes you can take through with this spell mastery. You can do regeneration, you can do totem mastery, which works on some extra cards that basically use totems, and you've got elemental power as well. You've got elemental power as well. Okay, so there's these different upgrade routes you can go. When you play the arena mode, you basically play with like fully upgraded characters. Obviously, there'll be combos that will really work really well, so kind of like support, so you can do this regeneration and you can just have a full-out warrior, barbarian, berserker type thing as you go through. You've got like these totems here, and you're using them for different reasons. You'll see here we've got totems all the way down the bottom of linked to an element. I haven't actually played with the shaman, so I'm not 100% sure how it was. I think it sounds like you choose 2 of these, then these will go in your temporary buffs, and then you'll be able to cast either, for example, water or earth. So if you've got those 2 out at that time, then you wait a couple of turns until they're off the board, and then you can choose 2 new ones. So you're limited to just water and earth in this case. You can't actually cast ice, electric or fire, but you can cast things from on here if you've gone down the totem route, as it were, or the elemental power, whatever you're doing. The little help sheet, or cheat sheet, I suppose you can call it, we'll talk about quick reference. So the more commonly conditions, there's a lot of conditions in this game because it really works off them. So it's buffing and causing negative traits as well. So here, +3 HP regen for 3 turns. You put it in your 3rd turn temporary buff, right? So you'll have all these tokens, which could, I don't know where the +3 there is. So you get your +3 regen. You chuck it in your temporary buff for 3, or you should put it in your conditions, I suppose. HP, there we go. So where it's got HP, you put your HP regen, and then at the start of each turn, you're going to gain 3. And then they've got kind of like synergies. There's loads of synergies with all this. So they must have taken a long time to try and balance this to get all of these different asymmetric powers and all these buffs and boons and everything else happening. Then effectively you're going to attack your opponent, and you're going to try and take down their health completely, okay? And then once you've taken down their health completely, they are out of the game, and then you effectively win. But each character has their own kind of spell mastery, one of 3 routes. You can mix and match it if you want to as you go through. But if we take a look over here at the Huntress, for example, again, it depends which route you take, but you can actually have animal companions. So you actually have allies in this game, and they can be equipment and everything else. Again, just absolutely gorgeous art. And they've got their own stats, as it were, because on your board, you've got strength, intelligence, agility, defense, and HP, hit points, which you can permanently buff. You might temporary buff it. Strength, obviously, is how much you're attacking for. And what you'll notice, for example, if you did a long shot, it's 3 damage plus your strength. So whatever your strength is at that time, you add that to it, and that's how much damage is going through against one person. Or you do a multi-shot, and you're doing against all opponents, 1 damage plus agility. So you look at agility, obviously, but Huntress highest has got agility. So this is really good. Or you could do an arrow blade, and you add your strength and intelligence. At the moment, that's 9, but you might be upping your strength, for example, within a beast. So you could do all these different kind of setting up turns where you only can do one of these spells a turn. So you're just looking to see what your opponent's doing, and then trying to set yourself up, and then hit them when it counts. But obviously your opponent's doing the same thing, so you might go, actually, I'm going to go hit on that defense and really try and tie in that defense. So I just wanted to show the kind of art, just a bit more detail. So here we've got the assassin, and again, just really gorgeous art. The blood mage, we've seen the shaman, paladin, we've got huntress, the warrior, which can change its stance, which is really quite cool, and then some more heroes here as well. Alchemist, I think, bard, berserker, I want to say, I'm not sure, and then we've got dragon warrior, I think, or something, or dragon soldier or something. And that's the engineer who actually makes contraptions, and you've got to think about how you're doing that. Shaman, probably. Yeah. Warlock, drummer, war drummer, bard, I don't know. Runesmith, musketeer, elementalist. So some really awesome characters. So think about all of those character pool and how much replayability that's got, not only in the arena mode, but also in this scenario-based mode as well. When you're drawing random encounters, you can change the boss up, choose different types of bosses. There's different difficulties and everything like that. So some really, really cool stuff going on. Oops, wrong button. Wow. Okay, blood demons, totems. These are different stances: defense and brawl and support stance. So you can see that not all of them have cards necessarily that they move around with. I think the engineer, is this? Yeah, here we go. So the engineer, for example, has got these different gadgets that he will create. Have we got? Oops. I'll just see if I can quickly pull out. If we search this. Come on. So, for example, create a gadget, demolition expert, jumpstart, static shield. So, and then they've got an ability on the top left there, on the left-hand side of his board. You can see his stats are pretty terrible, but these gadgets can be extremely powerful. So there's different characters that play differently. They can maybe do a lot of damage to start the game, but then they start to, they don't really ramp up. And then you've got other characters which might start off a bit slow, but they really start to ramp up. So, if you don't defeat those characters quickly, then you're going to be in real trouble. And then you've got to worry about the allies and then how you deal with that. I mean, you've obviously got multiple target attacks that you can use, like the multi-shot here. That attacks all allies as well. So there are ways of attacking multiple enemies and everything else. So I wanted to show the Tabletop Simulator mod on, which is for Heroes of the Shire. I am going to be playing in this tournament that Damien has set up. I'm playing 2 characters, so I'm playing like two-handed. It's 2v2. We'll see how well I do in the tournament. Probably awful, but I will be sure to record the games and post onto here on the YouTube channel. But I wanted to highlight Heroes of the Shire because it was literally just a small stand, not in the main hall, and it was just such a great find. I couldn't. Just everything about it just really sung to me. I do like my arena games. I quite like this idea of predeterministic play mechanics, where you don't have to roll dice or draw cards to get the thing you want. Instead, you're making choices based on your cooldowns stats. So I think that's really cool to have to make those choices and see how you're going to build yourself up for a better term, or are you just going to keep chopping away at your opponent, or how the tactics you'll play with it. It's going to be really rich to keep playing this and to decide on how to do it, as it were. Okay, that was all I wanted to talk about with Heroes of the Shire. I would highly suggest just checking it out. It's a small game company who've really created something really cool here. I feel, and I'm looking forward to getting it later this year. That's the hope, and see how it looks and plays in real life, especially the scenario mode. And I've got the true solo add-on to play it proper solo. But if it only takes a few hours, I'll definitely give it a go as well with multiplayer. Just wanted to talk about Heroes of the Shire. So that's it at the moment, and obviously I'll see you soon, I'm sure, with a bit of tournament action of the game. Until next time, keep gaming.